to go. Roki Sasaki speaks on Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto joining the Dodgers last year. Quote, the number one thing that stood out to me was the stability of the front office.
No.
Yeah.
But not of the ownership.
Well, I mean, you could say both if you want.
But that's not what he said. What did he say? Read it again.
He said the number one thing that stood out was the stability of the front office.
Dude, I told you the S word would come up.
Roki also said that he let Shohei and Yoshinobu Yamamoto know he was signing with the Dodgers over text message before he sent out his Instagram post.
Must be nice.
Like I said the other day, the Dodgers were playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. You signed Yoshinobu Yamamoto to that $325 million contract. Everyone's saying, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Guess what? They knew the relationship that Yoshinobu Yamamoto had with Roki Sasaki, along with Shohei Ohtani. And I guarantee you in that front office, they were like, if we spend the money to get this guy, it might be an overpay, but if we get him, that damn near locks us to get Sasaki as well.
But do you think when he says the number one thing that stood out was the stability of the front office, is that like a shot across to San Diego or not? Because San Diego's front office has been stable, right? You've had the same GM for a decade.
I mean, Kyle Glazer just put out Roki Sasaki. The number one thing that stood out, was the stability of the front office. And right. I mean, AJ Preller's been here for 10 years. 10 years. I mean, that's stability, right?
That's what I'm saying. But is he saying, when he says front office, is he saying alignment all the way up to ownership?
Well, also, how many managers has AJ Preller gone through? A lot.
But that's not front office.
I know. I am going to view it this way. Okay. I'm going to view it as it's everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Not just one in particular thing, and it's not him just talking about Andrew Friedman. I am going to interpret it as him saying all of it.
From Guggenheim
yes.
to GM to manager to player personnel to player development.
Right.
Yeah. Winning.
I do not think that when he mentions the stability of the front office, he's only talking about Andrew Friedman.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I ask it. Because when you say it that way, it's not a clear shot. If he said the number one thing to me was the stability of ownership, I'd be like, whoa, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said. Maybe he meant it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, it's all Shields' fault. Because I don't put the blame on.
I'm with you on that.
I don't put the blame on that at all. I think, Shield has to do what she has to do. And again, we talked about there's no right timing for any of this. And honestly, if that lawsuit never came out, I don't even know if it makes a difference.
Right. I mean, is he really choosing San Diego if there wasn't a lawsuit 2 weeks ago? I mean, is that really the difference?
No.
And by the way, we're both proponents. I think all things being equal, I'm with you from what we said day one. I'm a proponent of Shield having access to the organization. I don't know what I mean? I don't know if I'm saying she should be the chairperson, but I believe she's got a legitimate case to the future of the franchise. I think that's completely reasonable. But so I'm definitely team Shield here.
Me too.
Now, again, maybe the timing's never going to be good. Truthfully, if it was opening day and we found out, I'd be like, what is this?
Oh, it'd be a giant wrench in the start of the season.
So I don't know when it's good. Now, it doesn't appear to be great with him choosing a team 2 weeks later, and it's not the Padres. But I'm all for Shield Seidler fighting for what she thinks is right. If she should be the chairperson of the Padres, then fight for that. And now I don't think the timing's great with the benefit of hindsight. I don't think it looks great. But I mean, I'm team Shield.
I am team Shield as well. I am hard pressed to think that her putting out this lawsuit is just a bunch of fabricated lies.
I agree with that.
Why then? There has to be a reason behind this. And reading the lawsuit, you're like, well, I mean, you look at the actions of this team and they're kind of aligning with what she is claiming here over the last 2 years. But anyway, just back to Roki. I do believe that the Dodgers and how they have won at a consistent level, and the ownership, the Guggenheims, and Andrew Friedman, all the way down to Dave Roberts, how they have all been here for a long period of time. That is what he is referring to as the stability part. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do. It's just, listen, And everyone in the chat or anyone on the text line or anyone that calls like, guys, what are you talking about? A lot of people would make the same decision. You're right. It's not really a shot at him. It's more, I understand it. Choosing the LA Dodgers is not like the most controversial thing that a player's ever done. We're not like, what an idiot. Nobody's saying that. Like, we're not, what a moron. Nobody's saying that. We're just saying we were led down a path where maybe he actually preferred something that LA didn't offer. We were led down that path.
That's what we thought.
And then he took the path all along that's, hey, go meet LeBron James center court at Staples Center and then go get the red carpet and sign with the LA Dodgers, which again is fine. I'm really not taking a shot at that decision. Like, I'm not faulting. We've said it so many times. Like, yeah, you're not going to lose by choosing the Dodgers. It's going to be tough to compete with them in that recruitment process. So I get it. I'm just saying I felt like we were maybe like, he was like pulling the chain, so to speak, a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. And another thing, by the way, because I see people already saying, well, AJ Preller, and I just mentioned it. AJ Preller has been here in San Diego as the GM since 2014.
All right. So 10 years into the 11th.
I think he's one of the longest tenured GMs in baseball.
Number 3.
Yeah. So, okay, we want to say, well, look at Preller. But let me also remind you this. AJ's only under contract for 2 more years. He does not have
the lifetime.
A Shohei Ohtani where Andrew Friedman is tied to Shohei for the next 10 years. So, when you're looking at the stability of a franchise, yeah, you want to throw out that AJ Preller has been here for 10 years and say that's stability. Yeah, you're right. But when I look at the future, that's anything but stable. You don't know if AJ is going to be here past 2026. You don't know who's going to be owning this franchise. You don't know if this team is going to sell. You don't know if they're going to give AJ a contract extension after this season.
Dude, AJ could eventually walk. If the future of the organization is tied up in litigation and he has another offer, like, who's to say that AJ Preller is here for forever?
Right.
I mean, truthfully.
Dude, Mike Schilt has a longer contract
than Preller.
AJ Preller does.
1 year.
And so with all of that, yeah, the years part, AJ's been here for a long time. If you want to say that stability, okay. But I'm looking at the future, not the past. And the future tells me that AJ's under contract for 2 more years, and we have no clue who the owner is going to be, and we don't even know if this team is going to be sold or not. That, to me, is not stable.
So I saw this in the chat. I went to Twitter. It is kind of true. When you're getting, like, trolled by Ben Verlander, it's not a great time. So Bill Shaken of the LA Times put Sasaki on the Dodgers. The number one thing that stood out was the stability of the front office, the quote you just read, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Verlander quote tweets that from Bill Shaken and says, yup, Padres screwed themselves out of getting Roki Sasaki with their ownership drama. I don't think it's that simple. But if you want to put 2 and 2 together, and if you're tying that quote, front office means ownership, it means stability. I mean, if you want to put 2 and 2 together, I get that leap. I get people making that leap. Dodgers are stable. Padres aren't. That's the difference.
Okay, I get that. First off, I think, what's his name? Ben Verlander? Yeah, Ben, bro. I can't stand the guy.
Agreed.
He just is, he glazes over everything in baseball. It is ridiculous. Like, give it a break, my guy. Stop. Not everything is the greatest thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Right.
Especially with Shohei Ohtani.
Yep.
Like, chill. But, I said, if I hear Roki mention that, the front office or the ownership or whatever was a big reason why he chose the Dodgers over, said, the Padres, I would get upset with that. And I would say, look, okay, time to sell. Like, you can't have a future with free agents and whatnot and international players like Roki's case not picking you over concern of the front office. That is a major, major problem if it's said to be true.
So are you going that far right now? Based on that quote, where he doesn't say the stability of ownership, but it might be implied. Mm-hmm. When you hear, hey, they've got the most stable front office, that was the number one. He said that's the number one reason. The number one reason he went there is the stability of the front office. Mm-hmm. I mean, does that then lead you down the path of either figure out this dispute or sell the team?
Kind of, yeah. I do think that the quicker this is resolved, the better. and it's not going to be quick. Like by quick, I mean years potentially, right? But you can't have this hanging over your franchise. You just can't. And this is nobody's fault. Like like this is going to happen regardless, right? This was going to happen regardless because Peter passed away. You know, you can't be like, oh,
Can't bring
I
him
can't
back.
believe Peter passed away. Like, no, that's nobody's fault.
No, I agree completely.
Life happens. Those things happen. And in turn, it's a domino effect of now his brothers, you know, being the way they are, and Sheil feeling the way she feels. And she's completely in her own right to feel that way and completely in her own right to put out this lawsuit. So with that, and because life happens and because we have no control over those types of things, unfortunately, it leads us down this path where probably going to have to sell.
Can I be team Sheil and also team bad timing? Because I just, now I'll never know what would have happened if the lawsuit wasn't filed when it was filed. Like, I'm all for being team Sheil. I really am. I think she has a legitimate claim to the future of the franchise. Makes sense to me. She's the widow of the former owner. It makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not litigating the case, and I don't know the dynamics, but it makes sense to me. So I'm on board with that. But can I not be on board with the timing of the lawsuit? Again, maybe it's never ideal, but could we have waited through the posting period?
I mean,
I'm just asking. I don't know. Or would the drama still be known by the Joel Wolfs of the world? Was this going on behind the scenes even without a lawsuit?
Well, I think when we had Kevin on, he mentioned like there was inside the Padres organization, there was some shock from people of like, whoa, didn't know this was happening. But also there were a lot of people that did know this was going on and just kind of wondering when this was going to, you know, pop out there to the public.
Right.
I think when it was all said and done, the best course of action for this team eventually will probably be to sell. It just feels like it will go down this path. And it doesn't make you feel any better if you're a Padres fan today listening to Roki Sasaki say that.
No.
Like, it makes you feel even worse. And you got, you know, Ben Verlander, who's always on his knees, tweeting out stuff like that. And it's going to go viral because he has thousands and thousands of followers on X. So that's going to be kind of the perceived perception of the Padres right now, is how unstable their organization is from the top of the organization.
Well, then the first order of business, forget about Jerks and Profar for a second. Forget about catcher. Figure out the dynamic of the ownership as quickly as possible. Easy for me to say.
Yeah.
But like, this cannot continue in perpetuity. You can't have Seidler Bros putting out press releases and Sheil litigating this, right? I mean, this needs to be determined. And if this plays out over months and years, there is no way this doesn't have a negative consequence on the organization. It's just, it may have already had a significant consequence on the organization. We don't know. And again, all things being equal, I'm sympathetic to Sheil's case. I mean, all things being equal, that's how I feel.
Yeah, me too.
And now I can also have another feeling, which is I don't know if I love the timing of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
You know?
At the end of the day, is this something that would have mattered to landing Roki? Probably not, just because the Dodgers were always the favorite. And they have the resources and they have, you know, everything that Roki, I guess, was looking for. And they have Yoshinobu Yamamoto and they have Shohei Ohtani, two of his better friends. Like, it might have not mattered at all.
Mm-hmm.
But still, hearing it from him, you're like, oh, man, that sucks. And that hurts. And also, you can't tell me that if Peter were here, things would be different. I truly
agree.
Believe if Peter were here, I think it would have been a much tougher choice for Roki than maybe it was to choose the Dodgers over the Padres. Hell, maybe he might have chosen the Padres over the Dodgers. I don't know. But I do know one thing. Peter would have been a huge part of that, you know, pitch and talking to him. And I mean, if he's getting meetings with Aaron Judge and Trey Turner, you don't think he's going to get some respect from Roki Sasaki?
We'll give away Aztec basketball tickets in 3 minutes. Dude, this is the worst possible quote. This was the nightmare scenario you and I have talked about for 10 days. I said, what if he comes out at the press conference and says, I picked the Dodgers because they're more stable? That is literally what we said for 10 consecutive days. Like, imagine if he comes out and says the Dodgers are more stable And that's why I went with them. And the quote is, the stability of the front office was what resonated within the Dodgers pitch, according to Roki Sasaki. That's like a worst possible quote for the Padres organization.
Yeah, and it makes the organization, from the outside looking in, look like they have some major problems, which they do. But like I say all the time, perception's reality.
Yep.
And the perception now of the Padres franchise is what?
That they don't have their house in order.
Exactly.
And that they're cutting payroll.
Exactly.
And that they're not putting winning above all else. And they need to
Exactly.
determine who even the chairman is. It's not even. We keep talking about the Seidler bros. John Seidler isn't even the chairman right now. That has to be approved by the other 29 teams.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of this, like a lot of blame towards Shield.
No, I'm not blaming Shield.
No, I'm talking about from
I got
people in our chat and on social media. So what would you rather have? Like, this was gonna, like, what if Roki found this out beforehand? You might ask for a trade. I don't know, but like, I would assume that during his conversations with the teams, these things would have been talked about.
Sure.
And from my understanding is the reason why Shield did this when she did this was, things in the court take a long period of time. And with the vote coming up fairly soon on who the control person is for the Padres, she needed to get out in front of this. And it wouldn't have mattered if she did this in December or January or whenever. This was going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it would have made the biggest difference in the world. I still think Roki picks the Dodgers over the Padres. I do. Because one, Peter's not here. So I think that alone hurt their chances. And I think he would have picked the Dodgers regardless if this lawsuit came out. So with that, I'm not going to sit here and say it was the complete 100% reason why he didn't pick the Padres. It didn't help. But I don't think it would have mattered in the end of the day. It just was another thing that helped Roki pick the Dodgers over the Padres.
Yeah, potentially.
Which sucks.